Today I'm speaking with Larisa Meysner, and she has been awarded the Churchill Fellowship for 2018, looking in the healthcare sector as to where some gaps were that she identified that could be improved here in Australia. Larisa, how are you?
Well, thank you.
Excellent. So tell us a little bit about your experience. What drew you to the Churchill Institute, and how was the process?
So operating in private practice, seeing a number of clients with post-traumatic stress disorder across anything from car accidents to sexual assault victims to first responders, I noticed that there was a particular gap in that clients could go along and see their psychologist once, maybe twice a week. They could be co-managed by their general practitioner, and if their symptoms were to exacerbate to a particular point, there were very little places for them to go other than to a hospital, which unfortunately had a particularly poor rate of outcomes and successfully treating these individuals, which kind of perpetuated a bit of a revolving door of clients going between the two systems. And I learned about a particular program in the Netherlands where they were doing things very differently in a residential format. They were using intensive treatment modes and they were getting terrific outcomes. So something like 70% of people were in remission after less than 2 weeks of treatment. And so I thought, goodness, there must be better ways to do this, and there must be other people out there doing something similar. And so I investigated and found a number of places around the world doing really good trauma treatment, and that's what motivated me to apply for a Churchill Fellowship.
And so what is a Churchill Fellowship?
So when Winston Churchill passed away, there was a particular drive in Australia, and people were so moved by the impact he'd had on the whole Commonwealth that they essentially opened their doors, their wallets and their purses and donated a huge sum of money, to the point where that money is now being held in trust, and in perpetuity they now grant fellowships every year to Australians who are passionate about a particular topic in any field, from the arts to healthcare to sport to environment and government. And it allows them the freedom and the opportunity and the privilege to travel overseas, to obtain information and research that's not available here, and to then bring that back so that it benefits the Australian community.
What did you think of the whole process?
I was incredibly fortunate to be offered a Churchill Fellowship. There are a large number of applicants every year, and I found the process to be incredibly encouraging. The individuals and the people that work at the Churchill Trust are really committed to driving innovation in all fields. What I particularly like about the Churchill Trust is that it doesn't just offer opportunities to people in association with tertiary study. So it's not associated with a degree or any type of university, which means that people from all walks of life apply. And it means that the information that's brought back doesn't sit within academia, but it really does get disseminated and embedded within the community.
So would you recommend this process to others?
Definitely. It's an incredibly simple application process. The first part is all done online, where you submit your idea, your passion, and your proposed itinerary with what you'd like to research. And from there, the Churchill Trust shortlists applicants, and those who are successful go to an interview. From there, each state and territory sends its finalists to Canberra, where they confirm and finalise the nominees, and from there they award the Churchill Fellowships on an annual basis.
Wow. And so after you do all the research, what's expected? Is it more that you document what your findings are, or that you present it back in Canberra?
The expectation is that when you return as a Churchill Fellow, you produce a report which is available to the general public online so that everyone can read and find out about what you've done. But more importantly, within your industry, your sphere, and the area that you're researching, there's an expectation that you will disseminate, publish, and I guess widely promote the findings that you found from your research.
Can you tell us a little bit about what the residential program for post-traumatic stress is about, or what it entails?
Sure. Well, look, there are a lot of different models that I looked at, places in the Netherlands, the United Kingdom and around America, and they each will treat trauma slightly differently. What is emerging in the current research, though, is that intensive treatment models, whereby people stay for a shorter length of time and do a lot more hard work while we're there, are very effective. Previously, there was an idea that people who are struggling with PTSD might not be able to tolerate such intense treatments, but now we're finding that not only can they tolerate it, they actually benefit from more intensive modes. And there's also the adjunct of adding integrated therapies, so exercise therapy, equine therapy, as well as traditional psychotherapies, and a much less focus on medication. So really innovative, exciting ideas that are producing some terrific outcomes.
Well, it just sounds like good news, I think. It sounds like good news for a lot of the people in the community that have suffered from post-traumatic stress. And who else is someone that you think is a prime candidate for this kind of support?
I think definitely people who encounter trauma in their everyday work lives, police, firefighters and paramedics, but also people who have just struggled with really horrific and traumatic upbringings who, through no fault of their own, now probably suffer not only from post-traumatic stress disorder but other comorbid conditions, substance abuse, depression, anxiety. And what they've found is these treatment modes that work so well on post-traumatic stress, if you can relieve those symptoms, quite often that can have a beneficial flow-on effect to other things like their substance use.
Bas Tadros for Undercurrent.